Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Nick
I'm Jackson.
And I'm Kyle.
from Top Notch Sports, and this is the No Fly Zone podcast. Episode 4, week 6 of the NFL season. I'm sorry, I butchered that too because I am trying to do 10 things at once. We are officially live. People want live. We went live. We're going to try to give you guys what you guys want as we go along here. So if you have any questions that you want answered in the live chat, comment your thoughts, comment what you want us to talk about, and we will discuss it. We'll be here for the next little bit. Next week, we'll start at 3 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, and maybe we'll run until 4. But right now, here we are. We are live, and we're going to start just discussing some stuff. So, Kyle, what do you want to talk about? I mean, let's start fresh, slate. Anything you want to talk about before, our viewers even get here?
I think is Brock Purdy real is definitely a good conversation. Is Brock Purdy legit a good quarterback? Is Brock Purdy top 15, top 10, top 5? Where is Brock Purdy among all quarterbacks?
That's a good question. So let's start with that. So Jackson, where do you define Brock Purdy? I mean, again, as a talent, as a player, I mean, clearly he's putting up great numbers. He's still undefeated in the regular season. Under Coach Kyle Shanahan, what's your take on Brock Purdy?
Look, when I watched the game the other night, I was thinking, man, Brock Purdy is making some really tough throws. I thought there were some throws that he was throwing, throwing right over the linebackers. And he was hitting Ayuk and he was hitting Deebo Samuel. I thought he was just really threading the needle. Now, this is, was a Dallas defense that is a little weaker now without Trayvon Diggs. But, my opinion kind of, shifted a little bit on Brock Purdy. I thought maybe, he's just a guy that, you throw into San Fran, that he's just going to get the job done like many quarterbacks would. But I think, maybe Brock Purdy has a little, more to him than that. And I think maybe over time we're going to see him become more, get more comfortable rolling out of the pocket and, throwing some lasers down the field.
Absolutely. And again, this guy's been pinpoint accurate, honestly, since he came into the league. I mean, did he miss some things when he first came back from that elbow injury this season? Yes. He missed some throws. But look, number one is this, okay? Kyle Shanahan really designs an amazing system. I mean, you think about the amount of quarterbacks that have succeeded in his system, it's really everybody besides Trey Lance, okay? Who I was not a huge fan of Trey Lance. I think he has all the tools that you could possibly ask for a quarterback, but he wasn't polished coming out of college, and that's a big issue, okay? That's a huge issue. Kyle Shanahan really, though, whether it was Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Ryan, or now Brock Purdy, he's been able to tailor a system around his quarterback. And Brock Purdy, is he a top 10 most talent guy? No, but could you argue he's a top 15 talent? You can start saying that. Is he a top 10 quarterback? That's a whole different story. You can argue that he's absolutely a top 10 quarterback. That doesn't mean he's the most talented. That doesn't mean he's the most talented quarterback in the league. But best quarterback right now, if you want a quarterback to fantasy production, hell yeah, Brock Purdy is that guy. Kyle, what are you thinking about Brock Purdy?
I think it's definitely a hard conversation to have because you really could plug anybody into that offense and they might look. I mean, they could succeed. Jimmy Garoppolo succeeded in that system for a while. A lot of players will succeed in that system, but I mean, you're not wrong when you say Brock Purdy, talent-wise, he doesn't have the greatest arm in the world, but he's made plays himself. Like that's what I think a lot of people have wrong about him is he can't make plays. He's extended plays. He's made plays. He's made some incredible throws. He's made throws that your Jimmy Garoppolo's won't make. He's who else? I don't know. Backup Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton's. Andy Dalton's not making those throws that Brock Purdy is making, and I think that's where a lot of people start. I think we definitely were a lot lower on Brock Purdy than what he is as a quarterback. At the end of last season, we were like, well, he's just got talent around him. He's got a great O-line. I think we were wrong about him in that sense. I don't think we can go and say he's a top 10 quarterback talent-wise. I think that's clear and obvious day. But I think he could develop to that. I mean, at this point, he's young. He is really young, Mr. Irrelevant. He can develop into a quarterback that could, at least at the end of the day, can read a defense perfectly, which he already reads the a quarterback that will extend plays, make plays, and he can become top 10 quarterback, like solidified. I don't think you can solidify Brock Purdy as a top 10 quarterback right now based off of just both talent, production, all of it. But he can definitely solidify himself this season with the way he's already winning and the way he's making plays himself.
Yeah, and here's the thing about, I don't know, it's buffering a little bit. Computer might be overheated. Let's try this again. Brock Purdy, okay, young guy. Like you said, he's mystery relevant. He was that guy that, nobody thought was actually going to be the guy for San Francisco. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm seeing some buffering over here. Jackson, all of a sudden you got small on my screen. I don't know if this is actually happening or what. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to try this for one live. The thing that's cool about Brock Purdy is this. He's the first Mr. Irrelevant that might actually pan out, right? Like, all right, Tom Brady was a late round draft pick, right? And he was that storyline. But Brock Purdy came in as mystery relevant. Everyone's playing Madden, and you try to get mystery relevant to be the guy, right? You're trying to get the next Tom Brady. Brock Purdy's that guy, and he went to the perfect coach to help him out in that situation, right? Because, again, let's be honest with ourselves. Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, is the most quarterback-friendly offense in the entire National Football League. Plus that amazing defense with Nick Bosa and, Fred Warner, right? They got some dogs over there. Hufanga at safety. They got a squad. The Niners have a squad. And the main question that we should really be asking ourselves, and I'm going to kind of pivot here, live on air, we're going to pivot to, should the San Francisco 49ers have drafted someone like Mac Jones over Trey Lance? And could Mac Jones be doing something similar to what Brock Purdy's doing? So, Jackson, I'll let you start with this. Do you think that Mac Jones, if he was drafted to the Niners, like I said he should have been, could be doing what Brock Purdy's doing?
I absolutely think he could be. If you flip-flop their situations, I think, it would be the exact same thing. I think New England would probably be exactly where they are right now, and San Francisco would be exactly where they are right now. Mac Jones coming out of college, he was the guy that, he was coming out of that draft, he was the guy, he's the most accurate guy. He's one of the most pro-ready guys. That's probably what San Francisco ultimately needed, when they were trading up all those draft picks to get number 3, except instead they took a shot on a guy that, he was just a full prospect. All we know is that he has tools. Mac Jones was the guy that was more ready. So ultimately, maybe they probably should have took Mac Jones. I think they would be exactly where they are if they did.
Kyle, what do you think? Do you support that argument, or do you want to rebut it?
See, I saw this argument. I think it was by Dan Orlovsky. I think he had the same argument. And it was all credit to Mac Jones. He wasn't talking down on Brock Purdy at all. It's a great situation to be in San Francisco, and he believes Mac Jones is a better quarterback than what the product he puts out there. And I believe not Brock Purdy. I believe Mac Jones is a better quarterback than what we see from him. I mean, he's not in the greatest situation. Your best receivers are Juju Smith-Schuster. Your O-line's not really protecting you. They had 3 Saints ranked in over 90 in pass rushing against the Patriots. I wouldn't say that's all pass rushing ability. I believe the O-line struggled severely. You didn't have a running game. There was just not much going for you. I think Mac Jones is better than what we see. I don't know if we will put him in the same tier as what Brock Purdy is, just because Brock Purdy has produced very well. And even though Mac Jones in his rookie year was pretty good, we haven't seen him do what Brock Purdy has done. So just from the fact that we haven't seen it yet, I would say you're not going to get the exact same situation. But I believe you can put basically any quarterback in that system and win games.
Yeah. And again, this is like what to begin with, when the draft was going on, right? They were like, Nick, who do you think it's going to be? And I remember me and my cousin Mike, who's also on this channel before, we had a debate. He was a Trey Lance guy. I was a Mac Jones guy. And the reason why I was a Mac Jones guy was because they had the weapons, right? They have Debo. They have Ayuk. They have George Kittle, right? At the time, they didn't have McCaffrey, but they had a team. And all you have to do in that system is be an accurate quarterback and get the ball to the weapons. That's it, right? That's, a good quarterback, can get the ball to the guys that are on their team. And if you have a team that has weapons, okay, like the Niners, or like, let's talk right now, like the Lions. The Lions are another good team to talk about. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, right? You got Josh Reynolds, who's all right, okay? Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs. All you need is an accurate quarterback. And what's Jared Goff been for them? An accurate quarterback. Now, if you don't have that, like the Bears, okay, and you need someone to make you a play, that's when you draft someone like a Fields or a Lance. Why? because you don't have the weapons to be running wide open. And what do Fields and Lance and Josh Allen guys do? They miss some targets because they're not the most accurate quarterbacks. So they can play superhero ball when they need to because they don't have the guys to get the ball to. But when you have the pieces around you, like the Vikings do, also with Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson, you just need an accurate pinpoint passer. And when you have someone like Matt Jones, they can deliver it to the open players that you have. So right now, the Patriots, they need someone that can save them. They need a Trey Lance. They need a Cam Newton. They need someone that can make a crazy play happen because they don't have the weapons around them. But when you have the weapons around you, you don't need that superhero quarterback. You just need a guy that's accurate. And Matt Jones, in my opinion, coming out of the draft, was the accurate quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers that would have helped them go a lot further than Trey Lance. But it seems like they got their guy in Brock Purdy. So I don't want to take anything away, just like Dan Orlovsky. Don't want to take anything away from Brock Purdy. But I'm just saying, coming out of the draft, everyone believed that Matt Jones was way more talented than Brock Purdy. So what could have been is what we all got to say. Kyle, what else are you thinking, man? I mean, what else are you thinking? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I think you like hit the nail on the head when you were talking about what kind of quarterback teams need. If you don't have the weapons around you, before Justin Fields had weapons around him, they drafted him. He didn't have much weapons. They went and got him his weapons. But the thing with those quarterbacks is those quarterbacks have the highest ceiling.
Absolutely.
And when you were talking about superhero ball, the only quarterback in the league right now who doesn't have the perfect situation but has the perfect accuracy with playmaking. I mean, that's a Patrick Mahomes. That's what Patrick Mahomes is. Patrick Mahomes' weapons around him, it's not the greatest. But that is a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. You know what I mean? You're never going to see another Patrick Mahomes.
No.
Patrick Mahomes. And that's the difference with it. Like a guy like Derek Carr. Let's go with Derek Carr since we'll hit everybody's team. Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo's. Those are the guys that can get you some out. Well, Derek Carr a little more than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Thank you.
Will
yes.
Get you somewhere. He'll get you somewhere if you have the weapons around you and around. You got a guy like Brock Purdy. We don't. I think Brock Purdy might be there with the Derek Carr. We've seen him do it actually. We've seen him win you games, and he has a low floor. It's the difference between a guy with a high ceiling that can win you games and a guy with a low floor who just can do what you give them. And that's what the difference between like the Trey Lance. Trey Lance was a high ceiling, great athlete coming out, great prospect coming out, but he has a high ceiling, but he also has a really low floor. Brock Purdy, a low floor at this point. That's what we see. Or Mac Jones. Let's go Mac Jones. Small, low floor. You know what you're going to get when it comes to it. He's at his worst is going to be a career backup. I think Mac Jones is always, if he's never going to be a starter, is going to be a backup in this league.
Yes. And here's something else that you mentioned too, like you were mentioning quarterbacks, and like you said, like the Mac Jones and the Trey Lances. The thing about Trey Lance was that scared me. And I wanted this to all be current things, but now since we got viewers watching and stuff, let's just toss this around. This can be anything. We can go completely on a tangent here and talk about whatever we want. But here's the thing about this. Trey Lance, everyone wanted to compare him to the Josh Allen. And I always have this argument, and again, this is what I mean go on tangents. I want to make it clear to everybody watching. When Trey Lance came out, everyone said this is the next Josh Allen. And you know why everyone wanted to say that was the next Josh Allen? Because they missed on the first Josh Allen. You know who didn't miss on the first Josh Allen? Me. I was right about Josh Allen. Okay? Everyone else said he was going to be a bust. Everybody said he was going to be a bust. He was my number one ranked quarterback coming out of that draft class. Okay? So since they missed on him, they wanted to overcompensate. They saw a guy with a big arm that was mobile and can run. The next Josh Allen. Trey Lance is the next Josh Allen. I went and I watched both their tapes. It wasn't even close. Trey Lance threw a knuckleball. Trey Lance wasn't accurate. Trey Lance was recruited as a safety coming out of high school. Not as a quarterback. Trey Lance didn't have, I think Trey Lance might have threw the ball maybe 200 times total in college. It wasn't even close. It wasn't a close comparison. So I wasn't wrong about. Now, I've been wrong with some quarterbacks. Yes, I have been. I'll admit when I'm wrong. But I was right about those two. And going on another thing that we're going to mention too here is, like you said before, like you were mentioning the different tiers of quarterbacks. Let's put it this way. Like you said, Mahomes right now is in a pretty iffy situation. Travis Kelce and a bunch of I mean, I like Rashee Rice. You know, Kadarius Toney's okay. I mean, Jackson, you're more of a Chiefs guy. I mean, what do you
Yeah,
think about your receiving core? Go ahead.
No, I mean, I like, Mahomes just said, and I don't know, Mahomes just says stuff to, hype up his boys, but he says this is the most talent, he's had in his receiving room. I think there's, a lot of, different, there's a lot of gadget guys there, really, and that's, I've complained multiple times this year, why didn't we go out and get a true number one? But, the situation's iffy, but when you got Patrick Mahomes, who's, arguably one of the, the most talented quarterbacks, if not the most talented quarterback to ever play the game, I mean, it's going to make it happen.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, look, you got Mahomes right now that has lackluster talent around him. Let's be honest. Like, it's not where it needs to be yet, at least, right? And he's still winning games, so that shows you that this guy's really good. But when he was young, okay, when Pat Mahomes was a young man, and he was with Coach Andy Reid, probably him and Shanahan are the two I would want to be with. I'll tell you something, okay? That man was blessed. Because, again, you insert, like Kyle said before, a Derek Carr. And, Jackson, you and me have had this conversation many times. I think you actually agree. When they had Tyreek Hill, and they had Travis Kelce, and they had Kareem Hunt, and they had that squad, I think there's a very good chance if you flop Mahomes and Carr, I think Carr could get you to the Super Bowl with Hill and Kelce. I don't know if he ultimately wins. I don't know what happens. But
I said he would do more than what Alex Smith would have done.
I agree. And then what the hell would a Mahomes have been on the Raiders with Nelson Aguilar and Zay Jones? I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I would hope I would say, yeah, he's doing great, but you don't know. I mean, Mahomes is way more talented. It's not even a question. But
did Mahomes have Gruden? Mahomes would have had Gruden by then, though, right?
Well, I'm thinking in the when you guys had Hill and Kelce, it would have been the Del Rio Gruden era. Yeah. So
his first full year was 18, but he probably would have played. If he was a Raider, he would have played when he was a rookie. So that would have been 17.
Yes. So I mean, hey, it's something to think about. I mean, it's not. Again, I'm not, ladies and gentlemen, watching this stream right now, or later on tonight. I am not saying by any means Pat Mahomes is not the most talented quarterback in the National Football League. What I'm saying is he was really, given a great opportunity to start.
He got put in a perfect place to develop to where he is now.
Yes. Okay.
He's got the coach that could tap into his potential. That's really what it is. You would have there's so much talent that comes into this league, and they get drafted by the wrong team, and you don't know them. The greatest quarterback of all time right now, probably not on an NFL roster.
Absolutely.
That's just simply how it is. You need someone that can tap into that potential. And that's when you know a guy like Trey Lance really didn't work out, because he was in a situation with someone who knows how to tap into that potential. Or at least that's what we think. Maybe there's a different system that Lance excels in, but there's guys like Shanahan, Reed, even Gruden got the best out of Carr. Guys like that can really make you dig into your bag of tricks and put out your best show. And that's simply what you're saying is he got put in a situation where Mahomes was able to go deep down and become the best quarterback he could be.
I think a lot of people also forget that he sat behind Alex Smith for a year or two, and I think that he obviously benefited a lot from that too. And I think Alex Smith was able to just teach him how to be a pro.
Sending him was the best decision. I mean, because I remember watching. He played the last game of the season, right?
He played against the Broncos, and they were down. So he came out of that game. Our third-string quarterback had came into the game, and then all of a sudden we're down in the game. We got 2 minutes to go down to go win the game, and Mahomes 2 minutes left in his first game ever. He goes and gets him the field goal, and they win the game.
I don't remember the ending, but I do remember seeing Mahomes play because this was like 2017, so this is my loosely actually getting into football year. I just kind of remember everything loose. I didn't look at prospects or anything about this time. All I knew was who the Saints drafted, things like that. But I do remember Mahomes, who should be a New Orleans Saint, by the way. Let's all be real. Patrick Mahomes should be a New Orleans Saint.
Yes. Imagine that. How that could change everything. All right.
He behind Alex Smith or behind Drew Brees? Let me know.
If he was behind Brees, holy shit.
Yes. The only thing then would be coaching. But Sean Payton would have stayed. He
would have been New Orleans, man. Holy! I never thought about that. I knew that was possible. going in the draft.
All right, here's another topic that we want to discuss, okay? And again, I don't know how long we're going to be on this for, but we're going to try. Super Bowl contenders this year. Okay, so this is what I want to do. You guys got a little bit of time, think. Come up with 2 AFC teams that you think truly are contenders, 2 NFC teams, and then a sleeper on both sides. So whoever wants to go first, just give me one team on one side, and we'll go around the room over and over and over again so you got some time to think about your other guys. But real fast, whoever wants to start, Jackson, maybe if you got one, I don't know, if you want to throw one out there.
I got one off the top of my head in the AFC. I can tell you that right now. And it's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean, I think a lot of people, when they think about the Chiefs, they really just do think about the lack of wide receivers and the offense. But this is the best defense Mahomes has had, hands down. So I think toss out the problems about the defense. There's none there. When you go look back at the box scores of the Chiefs game, 9 receivers have catches, 8 receivers, 11 receivers, 10. It's every single game of at least 9 guys have catches, and so that's gonna it's going to take a while for people to get in the rhythm. That's why the past few seasons you see by like week 10, week 11, week 12, you look up in the standings, holy crap, the Chiefs are 9-2 and everyone's clicking. And I think that's what's going to happen again this year because I think there is a lot of talent in this Chiefs receiver room. I think Kadarius Toney has, I think the sky's the limit for a guy like Kadarius Toney. He just hasn't been healthy and he's had some drop issues. I know Nick's a big fan of Rashee Rice. Over the last few weeks, I've become a huge fan of Rashee Rice. And I think Sky Moore is more of a gadget guy, but I think, he's a guy you give him the ball in his hands, he could take it for a touchdown. And then you got guys like Travis Kelce, who we all know he's, one of the best tight ends in the league, one of the best tight ends of all time, in my opinion. And Noah Gray's another good tight end. So there's a lot of guys they give the ball to, and then Isaiah Pacheco is a beast running the ball. So I think when we get down to season and, get in the thick of things, the Chiefs are going to be clicking, and then they're going to be one of the top teams in the AFC, and they are right now.
Look.
And they got Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Swift's on their side. Kyle, what do you think? I mean, are you going to also plug in the Chiefs, or are you going to go a little bit
Yeah, I would not. Dude, trust me, when I say I'm a Mahomie, I don't know what it is. I'm like one of the biggest Mahomes fans. I love Patrick Mahomes, so I wouldn't count Patrick Mahomes out if he was the only person on the team playing offense and defense. Mahomes is always going to be there for as long. He is an all-time great. I don't think there's any argument with me right there. And if you want to argue, let's argue. Mahomes is one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I love watching him. Maybe it's just because I'm growing up watching him now. But I would never count out Patrick Mahomes as long as it is, because I'd put him in the same situation. He had bad defense, not a lot of playmakers. Guess who also had bad defense and not a lot of playmakers their whole career? Drew Brees. So I see a lot of it, except, Mahomes maybe like 10 times more talented in a sense of way. But I will never count out Mahomes as long as I was a Saints fan growing up watching Drew Brees have that same throw into 10 different guys a game. You never have a solid defense, which he has. Mahomes has a solid defense this year, but I wouldn't count Mahomes out.
Yes, I also believe you cannot count out Patrick Mahomes. But here's my concern, okay? Bearer of bad news here. The defense has been a little bit. I mean, they haven't been bad. The offense and defense are like, I don't know, Jackson. It just doesn't seem like it's been what it's been over there. I mean, you got the offense, right? I love Rashee Rice, and I just don't know if I'm gonna sit here and say that look, I'm never again. I'm just trying to give a different shake here. It's not. I'm saying the Chiefs have no chance. The Chiefs have a very good shot at making the Super Bowl again and probably winning it. But I'm gonna say this: this has probably been their worst chance in a long time, and here's why. Number one, the AFC is loaded with talented quarterbacks, right? Just go right down the line. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. I know they're struggling right now, but you got to think that they're going to figure it out. Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson, right? I mean, I'm not a Tua guy, but the weapons around him are absolutely insane. Justin Herbert, who nobody's even talking about right now. Aaron Rodgers won't be back in time, but he's another guy that you got to worry about maybe next year, but not for now. So there are a lot of guys, and when I think about a team, look, the Chiefs, you can't count out Spagnuolo. You can't count out Andy Reid. There's a team that they just lost this week, but I was low on them, and then I saw them beat the Dolphins, and I think it might be Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills this year. And they're going through a ton of adversity right now. They just lost Matt Milano. He's hurt. I don't know how that's going to shape up. There's a lot of adversity, but I've seen teams before fight through adversity and go far. And I'm not look, the Bills right now, after all these injuries, they lost Tre'Davious White, they lost Matt Milano. Doesn't look like a good shot, but I'm telling you right now, you get to the playoffs, Josh Allen can make something happen, and he could be that guy that, man, I'm telling you. I mean, you saw just what was it last year? The Chiefs and the Bills were going back and forth, weren't they? Wasn't the shootout? Was that last year or 2 years ago? That was 2 years ago.
To the 13-second game, is that what you're thinking of?
Yes.
Yeah, that was 2021.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, man.
Wasn't that a crazy game though?
I'll tell you what, man. You don't even want to just know the words coming out of my mouth watching that game. Just a pure fan, dude. Just holy crap.
No, it was.
Look.
Hey, Loki broke the stream.
No, you're good. I'm gonna fix it. No, you're good. Okay. I know. I was like, Jackson's camera's always messed up. I got it fixed. I'm doing that now. No, but like, look, I'm not saying the Bill. Look, again, if I had to choose somebody, I'm going the Chiefs. But the Bills are a team that, again, maybe not this year because of all those injuries. I mean, I just thought of those injuries right now off the top of my head. But they're a team you got to look out for. Another team, I'll go again. I'll add one more team out there that I think has a really good shot. And this is another team, it said sleepers at the end, but honestly, I feel like the sleepers have a better chance this year than some of these good teams.
Yeah.
There's a few. The Bengals are a team right now that
tough.
are really in an iffy situation, right? We don't know if they're even going to make the playoffs, but if they can get there, the team's so talented, it could happen. But I'm not going to go Bengals. Another team I really like in an iffy situation is the LA Chargers. The Chargers are another squad that I love Justin Herbert, but I hate Brandon Staley. Not him personally, but as a coach, he's just not a good coach. And the other team that I'm going to list here, and they're number one in their division right now, but I'm going to say my other team. So right now I would say the Chiefs are number one for sure. Okay, take the Bills out with all the injuries, but they're a team to think about still. The second team I'm going to go with as a legitimate chance in the AFC, I'm going to give it to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because of this reason. They got a really defense and really playing tough around the ball. They've been flying to the football. Just last week, they looked pretty dang solid, right? I mean, it was a close game, but they beat the Buffalo Bills due to all those injuries. But if they can start clicking on all cylinders, they'll be tough. They got a generational talent in Trevor Lawrence. They got really good weapons in Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. And again, I'm going to continue to stress that defense is pretty damn solid. So I'm going to go Kansas City number one, Jacksonville number two. Jackson, who's your number two in the AFC?
I'm just flip-flopping between so many different teams right now. I really do want to say Buffalo, but I just do so when you're injured like that, they're really going to linger you. Von Miller's coming back. You never know if he's going to go down again. He's old. He's injured. He's had some pretty tough injuries in his career. I guess I'm going to say the Miami Dolphins. Because I just really do believe in that offense. I do think they're really good. And again, I do believe when teams get later into the season, that's when they start clicking. I think once we see Miami get later into the season, we're going to see them start putting up 30 points consistently in the game. They have struggled the past few weeks. They get bounced back with the Giants, but that game against the Bills was a tough game for them. But I think when they come back around and play the Bills again, I think they're going to be a much better team than they were before. I think they'll be better defensively. I think they'll have Jalen Ramsey by the time that game is played. I'm not quite sure about that.
Probably.
But if they do, that's going to be a big addition to them. So I'm going to say the Miami Dolphins just based off I think that team is nowhere near its peak.
When that defense gets going, right, when they get their guys, and Coach Vic Fangio, who I'm a huge fan of, defensive coordinator over there, I mean, him with Mike McDaniel, they could dial up some nasty stuff. So Miami's a good choice, man. I just had them ranked over Buffalo not long ago. Then Buffalo beats them. I'm like, all right, that sends them back down to earth. Now with Buffalo's injuries, there's a shot that Miami wins that division again. NFL can change on a weekly basis. It's absolutely insane. Kyle, who's your number two team? You got Chiefs 1. We all got Chiefs number 1. I'm going Jacksonville 2, which is crazy. Jackson's going Miami. Who are you going number 2?
See, I disagree with you guys in a sense because I feel like you guys both said like you believe in a lot of teams. I feel like I'm looking at these AFC teams and it's youth. There's just a lot of like the AFC and NFC to me have always felt like two things. The AFC always looks like a team you would build off of Madden,
Yes.
and the NFC always looks like, and that's just simply how it always is. The Dolphins are straight out of Madden. I mean, Devin Akane, Jay Watt, and the NFC is always more like coach, discipline, boring football, and I don't know why that's always been the case, but that still seems true today. Other than the Patriots, so I don't believe in a lot of these teams. And I do believe more in that disciplined, boring football. So I'm gonna go with the Bengals. Joe Burrow is like a boring quarterback, but he is a good, precise ball carrier. He protects the ball for the most part. I know he's struggling this year and he's got that injury, but I'm gonna go Bengals just because I think they can get it back together, and I do like Joe Burrow.
That's a great choice. I mean, again, it's somebody. One of us is probably going to be one of our second choices. Chiefs are probably not going to win. It's going to be somebody, one of the teams that we mentioned. I bet you, I really wouldn't be shocked if it's either the Dolphins, the Bengals, or a team like, again, I don't think the Jacksonville will win it, but I think that they can definitely get there. All right, now let's go with the NFC. So, Jax, I'll start with you. Who's your number one choice? I think we're probably all gonna probably have the same number one.
I think we might all have the same number two. I'll be
Um,
honest.
We may.
my number one right now is the San Francisco 49ers. That team just they just look really complete. Their offense it runs. What am I looking for here? It's like reading a book. You just turn the page and it's nice and fluent. And that's what the San Francisco 49ers offense is. They're ran perfectly. They got weapons all over the place. And then it's the same thing defensively. And I think them adding Randy Gregory is a really underrated acquisition for them. If Randy Gregory can get back to what he was a couple years ago with the Cowboys, that is a really scary pickup for other teams for the 49ers. They're well coached. They got great players all over the field. And I think they're the consensus number one favorite for the NFC. And I think we'll find out here in a second what you two think about
Yes.
that.
Kyle, go ahead.
I mean, I'm gonna save the breath. The 49ers, exact same reason. He's at defense, offense. They've got everything. The 49ers.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's a genius. Defense looks great, and he's going to make sure he manufactures that offense to look just as amazing. Are we probably all going to have the same number two here? Jackson?
Yeah, I got the Philadelphia Eagles number two here. This offense again, this is another really, really good offense. Jalen Hurts is a really dynamic quarterback, and I think this team, really rallies off Nick Sirianni, as the coach. I think he's not more like the head coach. He's more as like a manager in baseball. He manages the locker room, and I think these guys really like playing for him. And then again, this defense, you get the Georgia Bulldogs on defense. The defensive line is fierce. They got some good corners. And again, this team was just in the Super Bowl last year, so they're experienced.
Yeah. Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I'm go with the same thing. I would say a little different though. The way the Eagles draft and build a team is so disciplined and so beautiful at the same time. I mean, in the trenches, they are deep on both offense and defense, and that's how you build a Super Bowl team. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to do much. That's the reality of it. Jalen Hurts, he offers that running ability, which I think is so important. But I don't think you have to expect much of Jalen Hurts for this team to win, and that's what we've seen these first few weeks. Is the team is just built well all around, and Hurts' rushing ability, I think, is just the X factor to what makes this offense and this team so successful.
Yeah, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go Philadelphia Eagles. And again, the thing with the Philadelphia Eagles, though, this is scaring me, and I'll be honest, is that the offense hasn't looked the same since Shane Steichen left. They're a very run heavy team right now, which again, that's not a bad thing, but it's just running. They got to start being able to throw the ball a little bit better. They got the playmakers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to do so. Dallas Goedert's another guy. DeAndre Swift's another guy that you can throw the ball to 40, 50 times a season, and he can make those plays with his legs after he gets a ball in his hands. But he's been doing phenomenal running as well. So that offensive line's been amazing. They got the weapons on offense. I mean, that defensive line, it is the Georgia Bulldogs, man. It really, that team, man, that Eagles team, they just continue to take players from Georgia. All right, now let's do this. One sleeper team from the AFC, Jackson. Who do you got?
The NFC,
AFC.
AFC.
A.
I thought we would not just do that.
No, we did 2 teams that you think are
The
gonna make
sleeper
it.
team.
No, a sleeper.
Sleeper. Like who not a lot of people may be counting out, but
So I'm gonna go and say I think the Cleveland Browns could be a sleeper team.
I was gonna just.
I think Deshaun Watson, the people the media they've showed the dumb plays of him throwing about. I think like he's been solid quarterback this year, and I think their defense is really good up front. They're solid. I love the secondary: Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Juan Thorno, some dogs in the defense. And then offensively, I love the guys like Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore. And it does suck that they did lose Nick Chubb, and honestly, it does hurt them a lot. But overall, I think when they're gonna get guys like they can sign Kareem Hunt. I think down the season when he gets more reps, I think that'll be a good pickup for him. So I think the AFC is tough. Kyle, I know you don't really think that, but the AFC is really tough, and I think the Browns are gonna have a hard time to get through them. But I think they definitely, if I was gonna pick one team, it would be them.
So the Cleveland Browns. Hey, I like it. All right, Kyle. What do you also? If you got the Browns, say the Browns.
I mean, I did have the Browns, but I want to be fun, and I think it's always fun to have hot takes, and who's counting this team out? Who's scared of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Nobody is scared of the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, but I was so high on them. I thought they were going to beat the 49ers week 1. I mean, the preseason stuff got to me. So I want to double down just so if it happens, I can say I said so. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers could finish with. I mean, they just beat. Let's go over who because they lost bad to the Texans.
Yeah.
30-6. I mean, that defense has been. That offense has not been looking like it should. You got Kenny Pickett, and I'm not high on George Pickens either. But Najee Harris has talent. He just hasn't got going. George Pickens is talented. They have a lot of talent there. Kenny Pickett just needs to tap into it, and the sophomore slump is usually hits guys hard. But a lot of guys, in the middle of their sophomore year, they take that step.
Well, I'll say something too. I mean, look, we always talk about Pete Carmichael because you're a Saints guy. Matt Canada should be getting talked. We haven't talked about him yet, but again, and another thing too with Kenny, I like Kenny Pickett too, Kyle. I was high on the Saints. Steelers as well. I really was going into this season. I thought they would figure it out. I like Pickett. Another thing that everyone's forgetting about, Deontay Johnson's hurt. They don't have Deontay right now. So when Deontay Johnson gets back, look, George Pickens doesn't create any separation. He makes some great catches, zero separation. Every time Pickett throws it his way, it's a 50-50 ball. That Pickens makes a 60-40, but still it's tight coverage. Deontay Johnson's the guy that can get open and give Kenny Pickett an easy guy to throw the ball to. I also love Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington. Who knows? You're not, listen. It sounds like a crazy take right now, but man, I would have been with you, a few weeks ago. I mean, I would have been saying the same thing. Like, I like Pittsburgh. I do. I really do.
And I'm not going here to say it like I think Pittsburgh's winning the Super Bowl. We named 3, and this is just my sleeper team. I think Pittsburgh. I don't know if I want to. I think they can make the divisional round. I mean, they have beat talented teams. They beat the Browns, which was his sleeper, Jack's sleeper. I mean, they've beat some talented teams, but they've got beat on quite often this season. I think that's where a lot of this negative comes from because it wasn't even one-score games. 30-7 from the 49ers and 30-6 from the Texans. That's pretty rough. So, I mean, I would see why a lot of people would count them out. But I've been high on them, and I do think Matt Canada is the problem. But I think without having Deontay Johnson, that's a problem. Najee Harris hasn't been able to run the ball. I think that's a problem. I think these are things that could get figured out, though. I think more as the season goes on. And Steelers are a team that can always get hot at the right moment. I mean, especially with that defense. T.J. Watt, Highsmith, they have talent on that defense. I think they could get it rolling. I think they have Patrick Peterson now, too. I think they can get it rolling. I think they could end the season. They're 3-2 right now with how bad their play calling has been. They're 3-2 right now. I think they can end the season with about 10 wins. I think it's possible for them to end the season 10-7, go to the divisional round. They win it, they lose it, I don't know, but I think they can make it past the wild card.
Well, that's and again, you just mentioned what I always like. You just got to make it. You win a game, you're 1 or 2 steps away from being to where you just make it, and you got a shot if the team can get hot. And I do feel like a Najee Harris in the playoffs, that's going to be a whole different animal. I'm telling you right now, he's a. I like him. Everyone wants to shit on him because he's not producing fantasy wise. He's a good football player, and defenses play against him totally different than the way they play against Jalen Warren. Here's mine. Okay, AFC. This team, I don't like the coach, but I can't put it past my guy Justin Herbert, man. He's probably been my favorite quarterback prospect I've ever watched. He's number one. Josh Allen's number two. Okay? Herbert, to me, is everything you need in a quarterback. The dude's finger was in a splint last game. It was sticking out the glove. I don't know if you saw it against the Raider. Throwing hands and everything. I mean, this just shows you that this guy... No, was it? Sorry, it was not. I think it was non-throwing. I hope it's his non-throwing hand. If it was throwing hand, he did a hell of a job. I think it was a non-throwing hand.
I think it was.
Yeah, I don't remember. But anyway, long story short, Justin Herbert's a guy, man, that I'm not going to count him, Quentin Johnson, Mike Williams. Well, Mike Williams is no longer there right now, but Keenan Allen, those guys out. And they got the playmakers on defense. Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are monsters. If the damn coach, okay, if Brandon Staley can finally figure it out, we'll be in good shape. We'll be in all right shape. But until that happens, we're going to be in a pretty iffy situation. That's the truth. That's the truth. So, my sleeping team is the Chargers. If Staley can figure it out, we'll be in good shape. All right. NFC team. Jackson, who do you got?
I want to be boring and say the Saints, but I feel like that's what you two want to say. So I'm trying to think of another one just off the top of my head. I guess I'm going to go ahead and say I guess after their loss on Sunday night, I'm going to say Dallas Cowboys are probably a sleeper team in the NFC. This team is, again, it's another one of those teams. They got talent all over the field. Obviously it sucks they lost Trayvon Diggs for the year. Even then, they still have talent all over the field. And more thinking of the offensive side, Dak Prescott is really holding this team back right now offensively with these picks he's throwing. He's got playmakers. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's got Michael Gallup. He's got Tony Pollard. I think Jake Ferguson's a really solid tight end too. There's playmakers on this offense. They got a really good offensive line. This team should be better than what they're losing 42-10 on primetime on Sunday night. I think they do have a lot of work to do. They're going to play some tough teams in the NFC in their division. They're going to have to play Philadelphia. I think they haven't played them yet. They play them twice. So right now they are a sleeper team. I do think they can get there. And again, I think they'll be a wild card team. I think that's just what's going to happen. And like we've been saying, if you get into the dance, anything can happen.
Yes. And the Cowboys are a team right now with Mike McCarthy and everybody. I mean, look, they got a solid. I mean, I do like the West Coast style offense a little bit better. I know that everyone's probably shitting the bed. Oh, horrible after the loss, but I think that they can compete. I'm just not a big Dallas guy personally, but again, look, they got the talent. Micah Parsons is amazing. Dan Quinn's a good defensive coordinator. They got a solid squad over there. They really do. So we'll see what happens. Kyle, who's your sleeper for the NFC?
You're muted.
Nope. Is he muted? Yeah, he's still muted.
Yeah,
Kyle,
you're muted.
You still might be muted. Let's see.
Okay, my
There
bad.
we go. We're good.
So I'm gonna keep it interesting first because I know who you're picking, Nick.
Yes.
So I'm gonna stay off for a second, and I'll go with Detroit. So the thing with me is Detroit. That offense is explosive. Jared Goff can do what he was. And you were saying earlier, you said how Jared Goff's one of those quarterbacks that's going to get them where they need to go because he has talent around him. And I believe that too. I do think Jared Goff has taken kind of that step. Taken a step up than what we all believe him. I believe he can win the bowl if he gets there. I believe if he gets there, he is fully able to get there. I think what's very underrated with the Lions that not a lot of people are talking about, because you saw it last year with Jamal Williams and you're seeing it this year with David Montgomery, is their rushing attack and their ability to get into the end zone. I mean, Jamal Williams led the league. Was it 17 touchdowns last year? I believe it was 17.
Something like that.
So 17 or 21. It's one of those numbers. I believe it was 17. Had 17 touchdowns, led the league. David Montgomery is having that same type of impact, and I believe that's very underrated. I think they can get in the red zone. I think they're efficient there, and I think their offense is good. Their defense scares me a lot. Aiden Hutchinson's an animal, a monster. But you start to lose names when you start naming. They had I forgot his name. He's out for the season with the left ACL tear after he tore his right ACL tear last
Manuel
year.
Mosley.
Yep, and he's out for the season, and they don't have too many big name guys there. But Dan Campbell, he'll get them there. He has a way of getting his guys riled up, play defense. They play hard defense, even if they don't have the best defense, top 10 defense. I think their offense is good enough, and I think Dan Campbell can keep that defense in check for them to be a team that can definitely surprise a lot of people and have a lot of wins. Which it's not really surprising a lot of people. A lot of people have seen this coming.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. I would not mind replacing the Eagles with the Lions as one of my top two teams because the Eagles right now, coaching like they aren't there yet, right? They have a great team, and I'm going to count on the talent, but I'm telling you that offense has not lived up to where I think it should be right now. As for my sleeper team, yeah, Kyle, you know it. It's the New Orleans Saints. And look, with the top, I believe I keep on changing the number every week, but top probably 5 defense in the National Football League. You know, Demario Davis, that linebacker, yeah, 3, 1 maybe. It could be. I mean, it really could be. Demario Davis and Tyrann Mathieu and Paulson Adebo, Marshawn Lattimore, Cameron Hayward. Man, I love that. And I saw my boy Johnny Abram running around back there making a few tackles the other day. I mean, it's just like it's my Raiders all over again, just in New Orleans this time. Then I look on offense and I see a shovel pass to Foster Moreau. I'm like, holy shit, where's John Gruden? Like, really? I mean, it's just crazy. Look, here's the thing. Offensive line's figuring it out. Derek Carr's trying to overcome that AC joint sprain. Foster Moreau is taking a step up with Jawan Johnson's absence. Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed. Man, I mean, this team can get places in their running game with Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller when Jamal Williams hopefully comes back. I don't know when, but when he does, this team should be able to beat you on every front, whether it's defense, whether it's offense, whether it's a passing attack or the rushing attack. They should be able to beat you as long as this offensive line continues to take strides forward. DA continues to have great defensive-minded games. And the offense and Pete Carmichael can figure it out. This is a team. I don't even know if I would say that they're sleepers. Yeah, everyone else is sleeping on them. But hell, I would have said it in the preseason. This is a team I'm saying. Just bring in my guy Hunter Renfrow, Kyle. I know you said no. Just bring in Hunter Renfrow. We can call it the evening. And I'll tell you something. This team, give Carr one more comfortable weapon. Who the hell knows? I got the New Orleans Saints as my sleeper. One final thing, and then we'll go. Okay, I think that's fair. One thing, you guys probably got to go places. I know I got to go to football practice. One final thing. Give me a team that right now, currently, that maybe you didn't mention already, maybe you did, but has a losing record currently that you think that can make the playoffs. A losing record currently. I'll give you some time because we talked about other segments with these guys, but now we're just doing hypothetical. You just got to take one team, and I know that we did it previously. We talked about a few of these. We talked about the Vikings, for example, and we talked about some of these other teams. You can change yourself here. I mean, we're just taking a real shot in the dark. What's the team right now with a losing record that you think has a shot at the play? Not that they're going to make it, but a shot. Jackson, I'll start with you. Do you have anybody off the top of your head?
Look, off the top of my head, it's just going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. The record's 2-3 right now. And look, this is a team right now. They're playing the AFC North. They could end up winning the division, not just saying making the playoffs. They're only a game out right now. If they can just start clicking offensively, Joe Burrow can get that calf healthy. We're seeing Jamar Chase is he's open like 7-11. That's what he posted on Twitter the other day. I think it's not a shock that the Bengals come out and win this division. I wouldn't be a shock to anyone. Again, they were playing tough AFC. They could get a couple losses in there. And again, this division is really tough. I'm high on the Ravens as well. I think that's a really solid team. But right now, it's the most comfortable team I feel saying at a losing record can make the playoffs.
This guy's too conservative. Kyle, throw me a wild ball. You own Chicago? No, I'm joking, guys. Who do you got?
Hey, I'm going to the team Chicago just beat down. Give me Washington. I like Sam. I want Sam Howell to be good so bad. I would love to see Sam Howell. He's an awesome story. Sounds awesome. Terry McLaurin's awesome. Curtis Samuel has been so underrated in the
Yeah.
past 2 years. The D line that Washington has, Chase Young's get it going again. I like. Oh, I love Antonio Gibson. Last season I thought he was on a trade block. I saw it. I was like, hey, New Orleans, let's look at Antonio Gibson. I like the weapons that they have. I think they actually have a well made team. Coaching though is where you start giving Ron Rivera. You're not. It's not 2015 anymore. We're playing football like it's 1970 really with Ron Rivera. But I'm a big Washington fan. I like Sam Howell. I like Terry McLaurin. I think you've got a lot of guys over there that could be noted as a top 15 guy in their position or top 10 even, and they don't get that nod.
Yeah, no, and look, you hit it right on the head because everyone, me and Jackson talked about this team a while ago. I forget what I think it was. Well, like Eric, something about Eric Bieniemy we talked about,
Yeah.
and we're saying this defense is really good, and we think that Bieniemy can score more than 20 points a game. Well, the defense has not been good, and the defense can figure it out because they got the talent with Jack Del Rio as the defensive coordinator, Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron, the defensive minded. They got two great defensive minds in Del Rio and Rivera, and they can't figure it out. And then you got on offense Bieniemy, who is doing pretty all right with Sam Howell. I mean, is looking good. You mentioned the weapons; it's for sure a possibility. I'll mention two teams, okay? Two teams that we haven't mentioned yet that I think have a legitimate possibility, honestly. And it's weird because Jets, of course, like the Bengals are one that, but again, tough division, so it's not necessarily gonna happen. Kyle comes out, pulls out Washington. That's a good one. There's two other teams I feel like have a chance that we did not mention. The Minnesota Vikings. I know I just said in the other video I don't think that is gonna happen, but they have a shot. They do have a shot. The NFC North is not the toughest division. They got loads of talent over there, and we just mentioned it's a game or two, man. If they can pull out a game or two, that can go their way, they're in good shape. They can definitely make it happen. Win 9 games, you have a shot at being in. The other team I would mention would be, again, this is one that not a lot of people would say in the beginning of the year, and I wouldn't have either. I thought this team was going to be terrible. The LA Rams. The Rams are 2-3. They've been looking pretty dang good. With Cooper Cup coming back, Puka Nacua playing really good, this is another team that absolutely can make the playoffs if they can continue to do what they've been able to do. So those are my two sleeper teams. Anything else that any of you guys want to mention before we wrap this one up?
I got nothing.
I think we're good.
All right. That's all from us on the No Fly Zone podcast, episode 4, I believe it was. This is our first live one. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. We'll try it again soon. Maybe we can try to get more viewership on here. But we had a steady 4, 5, 6 viewers almost the entire time, which is neat.